Ignore my cat. He's being fun. I was editing and I just realized I forgot to come out to you guys. Whoops. I'm out on my Instagram. My name is N. My pronouns are they, them. I'm non-binary. Whoops. While I'm at it, I'm also ace and a lesbian. Don't tell me I'm not a valid lesbian because I'm non-binary. I thought that too a year ago, and I realized I was wrong, and also I am one. I don't care what you think, just don't tell me, alright? Alright, bye, love you! What is up, my queens, hatters, and otherwise? It is I, Chesh, doing a face reveal. Whoa! I'm sorry, I look tired. I didn't prepare for this at all. I was just filming this to send to my friends, but this is too funny not to share. This is totally not sponsored, but I was on Reddit and I found this AI website called Dreamily, and it will like continue your writing. Like you give it a prompt and it will just go crazy. So naturally I used it to write a STEAMY fanfic. And I love working with AI because it's just so fun. Let me tell you, it got interesting. There are a lot of long-winded descriptions, and sometimes I would just have to hijack the story, like, okay, you're done, let's move on. This app is really cool, like, it works really fast, when it's not excessively caught up in prose. It does a pretty good job. Maybe it's because I just find it funny. I can't take it seriously. If you want to, like, write seriously with this, then, like, you can try. For inspiration, don't just steal a computer's hard work. Or if you just want to have fun like me, you can just like go crazy. Okay, so I wrote Megamind kissed Vector passionately and oh hi Roger. And then the computer continues, his tongue tracing the shell of his ear. You don't know how long I wanted to do that, he muttered breathlessly between kisses. I'm just glad I didn't ruin it, Vector replied. We can fix our mistakes later, Megamind moaned as he pulled up Vector's shirt. They continued to make out until someone knocked on the door of their room, causing them to break away from each other with startled looks on their faces. It was Steven! Steven Universe! I'm gonna write in universe. Oh, hi, Roger. Hi. Roger, did you doing anything? I hope you don't mind, but I heard that Vector's back in town, and since everyone else is too busy for it right now, well, we thought we could all get something to eat together. We'll be back later, so please enjoy yourselves, and I will see you later. Stephen disappeared quickly before they could reply. They glanced at each other, unsure of what to do. Well, let's get dressed then, Megamind said softly, not sure if he could stand being near either one of them any longer. Yes, let's, Vector said quietly, feeling uneasy around the other man. When they were both dressed, they headed downstairs together where a large group already sat. It was almost as if the whole universe family plus Bismuth, wow, this is a smart AI, plus Bismuth had decided to sit together and eat lunch. Bismuth, however, did not notice them when she walked past. The rest of the table began chattering while they ate. After they finished their meal, the entire gang bid goodbye and headed towards their respective cars. Megamind drove away, heading the direction of his own house. The drive itself wasn't too long, only 20 minutes. He parked his car and opened the door, getting out of his car and closing the door behind him as best he could while trying to juggle his bag and his helmet. He made his way inside into his bedroom without incident and flopped onto his bed with his bag still attached to his shoulder. He lay there on his bed, staring at the ceiling above him with his thoughts. He thought about everything that happened lately. What would the future unfold for them? So how would the future unfold for them? That makes more sense. What would happen next? Would this change anything for them? Or would things stay the same? Would the relationships change? Megamind pondered those questions. He didn't want to consider what would happen if they didn't end up being together. What if they broke up? No, that couldn't possibly happen. I'm invested in this epic crossover. They were soulmates. He didn't want to lose anyone ever, especially not like his father. Ever since his mother died, how'd he know? It left an emptiness that would never be filled. His father loved him very much, how would he know? And he always made sure that he knew it, and tried to protect Megamind from the heartbreaks and sadness he experienced every day in the black hole. His dad had become a great guardian to him. Really? Really? Are you sure about that? Are you sure? You know what? I'm going to tweak this a little bit. I'm going to say that Minion died. I'm very sorry, Minion. I hope it doesn't think it means, like, the Minions, like, from Despicable Me. He didn't have anyone else he considered as a true friend. Someone he could trust implicitly with all of his secrets. Someone that, oh, hi, Roger. Someone that he could, so cute. someone that he could rely on and feel truly safe around, and he missed that. He missed having that close bond with a person. He wanted more than anything, nothing short that could satisfy him. And yet, he wanted to believe that they could get out of this with no problems whatsoever. And that thought scared him, because what if he believed and they didn't? What if they ended up hating him for taking away the love he felt for his minion and hated him? What if they stopped talking to him because they found out about his secret past? About being a supervillain. But he's dating a supervillain. What if? But that was impossible. They loved him. They were his. Even if he hurt or lied to them, they still loved him. They weren't allowed to hate him, for he couldn't bear for them to hate him. He just couldn't take that pain. And so, he kept hoping against hope. Every time he saw the two walking hand in hand. Wait, who is he talking about? Wait, I thought it was about him and Vector. What? Every time he saw the two walking hand in hand or laughing, he hoped. He kept seeing their happy smile. Oh, they were reserved for him. Whenever they spoke to him in public places or even in private, he never saw any of those smiles directed towards other people. Only towards him. Every day when he woke up, he expected to see a note or some form of evidence that his friend had remembered him, that he cared enough about him to think of him, but he never got anything. Not once, not even in passing, or small notes scribbled in his diary. Is he reading his diary? Huh? Not even when he called them, not even when he texted him, asking how he was doing, or just wishing him good morning. He received nothing. Nothing from his friend, nothing from his other friends, nothing from anyone. This is all your fault, Megamind. Not even Minion had a response to his text. I thought Minion was dead. His Minion, his companion, his friend, his love, his life partner was gone. Okay, he is gone. And nothing would bring him back. Nothing was happening anymore. Nothing was going to happen. Do you hear that, Roger? Nothing. All he would get was empty days that stretched into weeks. Weeks that stretched into months. Months which he spent alone and sad. Alone and lonely. Alone and miserable. Until finally, he gave up hope. He couldn't bear to live like that. Without anyone. Without his minion. Without his lover. Without the support and friendship he felt was so essential to him, so much needed in his daily routine. Without his friend by his side, helping keep his spirits up, without them to smile at him, laugh at him, comfort him, tease themselves, he would surely fall to the depths of despair, depression and despair, and he couldn't handle that. It was all he had left. You're judging me. I'm just getting to this dramatic reading of this Megamind fanfiction. God. He'd lost the most precious thing in his life. He didn't need it. That night, when he lay down to sleep, tears ran down his cheeks freely. When he woke up, he cried again, and again, and again, and again. His eyes were red, puffy, swollen, and puffed. He sobbed softly when he blinked, and when he sniffled, he choked on the tears that threatened to burst out his nose. Gross. He wiped his nose with his sleeve, but he was still crying and hiccuping. It seemed like he was going to be like this forever, crying, sucking his thumb, sniffling, sobbing, crying. It seemed like it wouldn't stop. There would be no end to it, and so he kept on. But then, when he thought he couldn't cry anymore, that he'd run out of tears to shed, when he felt so tired that he could barely lift his head off the pillow, it happened slowly. He's grieving Minion, his lover, but what about Vector? What about Vector? It became harder for him to breath.
Like a tight fist wrapped around his throat, choking him to death. Oh my god, it's Darth Vader. At first I thought I was
He cried, he wept, he sobbed hard, he shook violently.
To talk to
comfort him, someone to assure him that it was going to be okay. This is so long-winded. He wanted to feel something other than emptiness. Suddenly, there was a voice, a familiar voice. He had heard it many times during his previous encounters with Megamind. Wait. But he is Megamind. With himself. It sounded angry, and upset. Those are synonyms. Megamind sat up in his bed, shaking all over with fear. I don't want to hear about him mourning his minion, okay? As much as I love Minion, We gotta keep it going. He looked at his phone screen and read the text message his friend had sent him. It read, "Hey baby," little squiggly line. Megamind replied, "Hey, sweet cheeks." He's moving on. He's with Vector now. Vector responded quickly with, "What are you doing awake?" Megamind glanced at his clock to see that it was still only 3 in the morning. Megamind told Vector, "Okay, finally, we're getting somewhere." Megamind told Vector, "I can't stop thinking about you." Megamind told him, "About me? Why?" Vector said, "It's almost 3 a.m. Why do you ask? Do you need me for... You texted him!" Okay, I'm going to get it back on track. "About me? Why?" Vector said, "Your eyes are like 2 emerald orbs." Should I say that? No, "your heart is an ocean inside a bigger ocean." I'm gonna say that. Semicolon. "Your eyes are luminous emerald orbs." Okay, what does Megamind say to that glorious pickup line? Megamind didn't understand. Didn't know where Vector was going with this. Me neither. Vector went on with his rant. A rant? It was a sentence. God. "And I want to go to the ocean side and look at your sea." Oh. "Your waves and your skies." Megamind replied, "That's fucking gay, dude." I'm gonna write that. Megamind replied, "Dude, that's so gay. I love it." Vector went on with his rant. "So I wanted to ask maybe if we could go together one day. Just us. Go somewhere sunny and nice. Maybe go to Spain." Megamind replied, "I'd like that. We could be married and have kids there someday. Wouldn't that be fun? Hey, fathers, we love this." He had been dreaming about marriage and children ever since his marriage. My wonderful fan fiction. Even though he was aware that his wishes were unrealistic and unattainable, of having a normal flesh tone, being something other than the bad guy. He's the bad guy. Megamind had to remind himself real life was hard, difficult, painful, lonely, sad, despairful. A Billie Eilish song. Just adopt, God. Maybe it's because you're criminals. Steal a kid. Wanted to spend the rest of his life with Vector. Loved him so dearly that he would never want for anyone else. And he could only hope that he could love Vector until they both passed away one day. How dare you, Megamind will never die. He couldn't imagine ever living without the man that he called darling. But I called him sweet cheeks. No matter what, they'd always be together, would they not? So Megamind answered, "Yes." Is this going on YouTube? Like, I was just filming this for funsies, but like, it keeps slipping between pronouns. Vector is a he, they icon. What about that guy Gru? You still have feelings for him? No. Megamind hesitated for a second before saying, "I don't mind seeing him again." Good! He doesn't deserve your enemies, and I'll take care of you. Megamind chuckled lightly. Yeah, I know. Thanks. Let's go back to sleep. We have work tomorrow. They do? Next morning, Megamind awoke. The light was streaming in through his windows, hitting him in the face like tiny sunbeams. Light, presumably from the sun, came through his window like tiny sunbeams. What's the light from, if not the sun, huh? Okay. He groaned a bit in pain, blinking rapidly several times before getting up and stretching, yawning. Arms stretched high above his head. Slowly, almost reluctantly, he got dressed, put some water in the coffee pot, fixed himself some breakfast, drank his coffee. He never actually prepared the coffee, he just put water in the pot. And finally, after a few bites of bacon and toast, which he forced down, grabbed his bag and his cane. Like an old man cane? Or like a fancy cane, like Willy Wonka. I'm going with the latter, because that's cool as hell. When he arrived outside, he looked around, looking for anyone who could possibly have come by early enough to be early. What? He just, like, got up in the morning. No one knocked on the door or anything. What? He looked behind him and into the kitchen. He still had nothing but the bare essentials to eat and drink there. Where are all his gadgets? Right, he sold them at the garage sale. Right. I'm caught up in Megamind lore. He turned around and began walking towards the door, opening it and stepping out onto the steps, where one would step. He walked along the sidewalk, taking a couple of turns here and there to get his bearings. Eventually, he found where he needed to be going and headed down that way. Does he know where his work is? Because I don't. Across the street with ease, ignoring the stares and snickers of people he passed before reaching his destination. He stepped up on the stone steps where one would step of their apartment complex and headed up to his floor. I thought he just left his house. He reached his door. He reached forward to grab for the lock, but instead found a small, I think he just like walked around the block and went back home. Instead found a small box sitting on top of his door. With curiosity and apprehension rising inside him, he slowly pried open the lid. What am I doing? Inside lay a single red rose. A red rose! I just said that! With golden tips and a small card stuck between its petals. Oh my god, Vector is so romantic. Your Megamind turned himself around and went right back home after leaving. Okay, it was signed, Love Vector XO. Imagine if it was from Gru. Plot twist. He lifted out the rose and held it closely against his chest, staring at the flower. He turned around and walked off and left his house again, and then came back. As soon as he stepped back outside, the door shut behind him softly, locking itself. He stared at the door for several minutes afterwards, still clutching the rose in his hands. Finally, he released a deep sigh. Oh, I was right. Megamind opened the door once again and entered the house again. Is it a house or an apartment complex? Maybe it's like a house that's been like sectioned off into apartments. He headed upstairs to his room. As he approached the closed door, he looked at the rose again, with curiosity and intrigue, a strange feeling of dread. Dread for what lay behind the closed door. It's just Vector, spread eagle, hey. Dread for what he may or may not find upon opening it. Dread for what lay ahead. Why? This is in all caps. Dread for what may or may not happen next! And worst of all, dread for what he may or may not become. What could he be becoming? Chapter 5. What's with these chapters? Huh? Megamind unlocked the door after knocking loudly. He opened it up a little, peering inside. He scanned the room as he entered. What's in the room? I'm so curious. There lay Vector, scantily clad in lingerie, laying on his side with his arms slung across his abdomen. His palm of his hand resting directly atop his stomach, fingers slightly curled, holding something underneath his belly button. Hello, my dear. I'm gonna put quotation marks. Oh, whoa. What's this? He questioned curiously. Oh my god, I actually understood what I was writing. Is it to your liking? I guess. Well, now that it's settled, Doctor began. What do you say we leave and go somewhere sunny and nice? But you're in law. What? I'm gonna hijack it again. Do you want to have some fun? Megamind looked up, looking into Vector's blue eyes. Are they blue? That glowed in the dark bedroom. He nodded. Yeah. All right then, let's go to bed. Let me change. You're already? Yeah. And then we will go have some fun. Actually, I think I'll end the video right here. I hope you enjoyed that video. I definitely enjoyed making it. And if you want to see like a part 2, maybe a different fanfic, more characters, still with this website, because I'm not gonna write things from scratch. Then like let me know. Write in the comments. Like this video, subscribe. God, I'm the worst. If you want to see me do actual art things, go on my Instagram. If you want whatever this is, stay here. Thanks for watching and keep smiling.